New Lands, by Charles Hoyfort, Part 2, Chapter 27F. Altogether there are many data indicating that vessels and living things of space do come close to this Earth, but there is absence of data of beings that have ever landed upon this Earth, unless someone will take up the idea that Kaspar Hauser, for instance, came to this Earth from some other physical world. Whether Spacarians have ever dredged down here or not, or sniped down here, pouncing, assailing, either wantonly, or in the interests of their sciences, there are data of seeming seizures and attacks from somewhere, and I have strong objections against logging in the fourth dimension, because then I am no better off, wondering what the fifth and sixth are like. In Law Nature, 1888 Volume 2 page 66, Monsieur Adrien Arcelin writes that, while excavating near Desalatre in August 1878, upon a date described as superb, sky clear to a degree said to have been parfaitement, several dozen sheets of wrapping paper upon the ground suddenly rose. Nearby were a dozen men, and not one of them had felt a trace of wind. A strong force had seized upon these conspicuous objects, touching nothing else. According to Monsieur Arcelin, the dust on the ground under and around was not disturbed. The sheets of paper continued upward, and disappeared in the sky. A powerful force that swooped upon a fishing vessel, raising it so far that when it fell back it sank. See London Times, September 24th, 1875. A quarter of a mile away were other vessels, from which set out rescuers to the sailors who had been thrown into the sea. There was no wind. The rescuers could not use sails, but had to row their boats. Upon October 2nd, 1875, a man was trundling a cart from Schaffhausen, near Berlin, Germany. His right arm was perforated from front to back, as if by a musket ball. Popular Science, Volume 15, page 566. This man had two companions. He had heard a whirring sound, but his companions had heard nothing. At one side of the road there were laborers in the field, but they were not within gunshot distance. Whatever the missile may have been, it was infeasible. Law Nature, 1879 Volume 1 page 166, quotes the Courrier des Ardennes as to an occurrence in the commune Saint-Ile-Petit, Easter Sunday, 1879. A conspicuous, isolated house. Suddenly its slate roof shot into the air, and then fell to the ground. There had not been a trace of wind. The writer of the account says that the force, which he calls a trouble in, we had so singled out this house that nothing in its surroundings beyond a distance of 30 feet had been disturbed. Scientific American, July 10, 1880, that, according to the plain dealer of East Kent, Ontario, 2 citizens of East Kent were in the field, and heard a loud report. They saw stones shooting upward from a field. They examined the spot, which was about 16 feet in diameter, finding nothing to suggest an explanation of the occurrence. It is said that there had been neither whirlwind nor anything else by which to explain. It may be that witnesses have seen human beings dragged from their own existence either into the objectionable fourth dimension, perhaps then sifting into the fifth, or up to the sky by some exploring thing. I have data, but they are from the records of psychic research. For instance, a man had been seen walking along a road, sudden disappearance. Explanation that he was not a living human being, but an apparition that had disappeared. I have not been able to develop such data, finding, for instance, that someone in the neighborhood had been reported missing, but it may be that we can find material in our own field.